Hi everyone, it's me again. I'm here doing a second video blog just because I found last week's was kind of fun, and we're actually going to be talking about something similar to last week, so still consumer informatics and eHealth, so how we're using it. So we kind of talked last week about how health information is, it's really nice to have it online because it's accessible to patients, but this week we're going to zero in a little bit on how social media is used in eHealth and providing health information to patients. So I'm not going to go into a lot of depth this week in terms of that. I'm just going to pick a few points and go over those. Um, so I guess we've talked a lot about how nurses and doctors and healthcare professionals can use technology, but how can patients actually use this type of resource and information to help benefit them about their health? Most people have like some time of computer or internet capability on their smartphone or whatever to do research on health information if they need to. So in that sense, our society today is really privileged in that sense. At least a lot of people are. And we talked a lot about accessibility last week, but that's not what I'm going to focus on this week. I still think it's probably one of the most important things. And as well as educating people on how to use it. But social media is something that's all around us. Most people use some sort of social media. I held up this poster at the very beginning. This is just an example of all of these different things that you use day to day. And I know that I use a lot of things on this list here. I'm sure most of you other do too. So I'm just going to kind of focus on a couple pros and cons of using social media. Last week in class we did an activity where we used different sorts of tools for online searching. Last week my group actually used Reddit on the discussion boards, and we looked at the posts under the depression category, and there was an overwhelming amount of posts, people confiding in other people about how they felt about their lives, some even expressing that they wanted to commit suicide. And it really got me thinking, because if so many people do not feel comfortable coming to a doctor or a nurse, why is it that they feel comfortable posting this on the internet? So it got me thinking about some pros and cons of using social media in nursing and how maybe we can use this and implement this into future programs. So I guess we're going to start by pro number one, which is sense of support. And now that I know this, I think this is going to be backwards, but if it is, I'm sorry. So pro number one is sense of support. Sense of support really just means that, like I said, on these social media sites, people feel like they can connect with each other. People feel like they have a support system around them. At the end of the day, it's really nice to feel like you're being heard, and some of these people who might be struggling with things such as abuse or depression feel like they can actually come to someone and talk to them because it's all anonymous and over the internet. Personally, I think that we should be enhancing on this, and we should be thinking about ways to possibly put programs in place with certified doctors and nurses online so that people can talk to registered healthcare professionals and get help without having to go to a doctor's or a nurse's clinic, because they might feel more comfortable doing that. And if that is the intervention that saves their life, then I think that's great. So then we're going to move on to pro number two. And pro number two is education. There's definitely a big gap in terms of healthcare professionals and the education that they give to their patients. A lot of the time they're busy treating so many people that they don't feel that they have time to give them all of this education, or sometimes people are just too afraid to ask questions. So they'll go home and they'll use online resources to try and do this, but it makes it difficult when there's so much information online that could be false. So like I had mentioned last week, it's really important that we give our patients the opportunity to do well and take care of themselves and look after their health by teaching them about resources that are actually legitimate and that have verified information that they can trust. But definitely another pro about using social media is that they can gain this information in another way, this education, so they can ask friends or peers or even just complete strangers about conditions that they might not know, about medications they don't know how they work or how they're going to affect their body. I know I've had medications given to me that the side effects were brutal, and the doctor never told me that they would affect me like that. So I just thought that was really interesting. I'm going to go ahead and move on to cons because I don't want this to be a super, super long video. Con number one is health professionals using social media for personal use. So what does that mean? Well, healthcare professionals a lot of the time will have personal social media accounts, which is completely understandable. But I want to bring up an example in a minute. I think a lot of healthcare professionals will reply on medical posts and stuff like that online and say that they are a doctor. I mean, number one, how can you certify this person to a doctor? The general public is going to believe anyone who says they're a healthcare professional and take their advice seriously. And B, the healthcare professional is not going to be accountable for this if any harm results from the person posting following their advice. So I think that's definitely a key issue. The other thing I want to bring up is I was doing some research for this post, and I know a lot of the time Yahoo Answers, they'll ask a question and you'll get replies, and the source at the bottom will say, source, I am a doctor, I am a nurse. I tried to find an example and I couldn't find one. I found this really kind of out of the world post that was really interesting. I've posted it on my blog, but there was a reply afterwards about 10 minutes later, and the source said, "I am a nurse," and it just baffles me that a nurse would be giving this type of medical advice online and would be saying that they are a nurse. It's different to give your personal opinion, but when it comes to posting information about people's health online, you don't have their chart in front of you, you don't know all the facts, you don't know all their scenarios. That's the number one thing we're taught in nursing, is to never make assumptions, and that's exactly what you're doing by posting that sort of stuff online, because you don't really know anything about the person who's posted it. Now, con number 2 is abundance of conflicting information. So a lot of people will search online for, say, side effects of a certain drug or something like that, and they're going to come back, the results are going to come back with a ton of different answers, and they could all be conflicting. One could say that you'll be sick, one could say that you're going to feel better. Like, it's just really confusing, I think. So patients might get confused, they might get frustrated, and they might give up on taking care of themselves. So that's again why last week's post that I made about educating people on their resources and how to find proper information is really going to help in the long run. So I guess that kind of sums up pros and cons. I'm going to share a number to you guys, and I want you to think of what the 24% might mean in terms of social media. 24% I found in an article online of the study population in this particular research study showed that 24% of the study population had posted healthcare questions or had posted about their healthcare experiences online. If such a large population of people is posting online and using online resources, we should be making sure that these are reliable and that they can be used by the whole public and population, and that they're actually going to impact their care in a positive way as opposed to a negative way. On Reddit last week when we were looking, there was a lot of people who were antagonizing the people who said they wanted to kill themselves, telling them you're just looking for attention. That's not helpful, and obviously there's no one monitoring those types of sites, so we really need to be careful about that. Social media can really be helpful in terms of connecting people, but I also think that it can be detrimental in the fact that no one is necessarily ever looking or monitoring these posts, so you really have to be careful about that. So, like, at the end of the day, how does it really impact us as nurses, as providers of care? Knowing how we use health resources online, so not posting that type of information and posts, like replying to posts of other people concerned about their medical care. They should be seeing a doctor if they have questions like that, or using legitimate online resources. I don't think discussion boards are a legitimate way of finding out health information because they could have falsified information, and as patients, I think we also need to know that too. So anyways, I guess that sums up my video blog on consumer health informatics and eHealth. I hope you have enjoyed the last couple weeks, and see you guys soon. Bye!